What is up, you guys? Pete DiCarlo here, helping you grow your portfolios one trade at a time. And today, we're going to talk about what you need to actually become a successful trader. We're going to be going over different charting software, scanners, different types of computers, monitors, the whole shebang. I'm going to put it in one easy to view and comprehend video so that at the end of this, you're going to know exactly what you need to actually start trading to your full potential. And now, of course, that doesn't mean that just because you have this software and equipment that you're going to become a profitable trader. There are a lot of other things that have to do with strategy and psychology that's actually going to make you a professional. But these key pieces of equipment and software will make your job a lot easier. Now, when I first started trading, I saw these guys with insane amounts of monitors, a bunch of different computers, and all of this high-tech equipment, and I thought that in order to be a professional, I needed all of these things. The truth is that you really just need a cell phone and an easy-to-use app like Robinhood. Now, of course, this isn't the best. I usually say stay away from Robinhood, but in all reality, that's all you need. But if you want to take your trading to the next level and really take this seriously, you are going to need some key items. I will be linking everything that I talk about in this video, from actual software to scanners to different computers and monitors and what exactly I use, down below. First thing that you're going to need is a broker. Now, I've explained in a lot of videos what a broker is, but essentially think of it as a bank account for your stock portfolio. Of course, there are different things to different brokers. For instance, an app/broker like Robinhood makes it very easy for newbies to get started because the interface is really easy to learn. It's pretty self-explanatory, and honestly, you could pick it up and just start investing today. But then there are ones like TD Ameritrade and Fidelity, which are a lot harder to use, but once you get the hang of it, they offer so much more than Robinhood. The other thing to think about when it comes to finding a broker is customer service. One problem that I have with Robinhood is if I have an issue with my account or a trade, I can't just call up a representative and get them on the phone. I actually have to email them, and 9 times out of 10, it usually takes a couple of days before I even hear back from them, if I ever hear back from them. And this has actually happened to me a number of times, not just when the whole app was down for multiple days, but even on a daily basis. That's why they are cheap to use, and honestly, that's why they started out by being a free broker, because they keep their overhead low. The next thing to think about when picking your broker is the tools that are going to come with it. While the interface on something like Robinhood is really easy to use, you don't get much in the way of tools. You get a small chart that really you can't do anything on. You're gonna get a section where you're gonna see potential earnings and past earnings, and honestly, it's not really done that well. They also have what's called a Robinhood Gold membership, in which you're going to get these Morningstar reports, but any other brokers that you get is going to have these with them. On the other hand, if you pick something like TD Ameritrade, you're going to get one of the best trading softwares that there are out there. I promote TD Ameritrade like I work for them, and I don't. I have no relation to them. I've just used so many different platforms, so many different brokers, and they are my favorite. But with something like TD Ameritrade, you're going to get their Thinkorswim platform, which is one of the best trading softwares out there, and it's 100% free for all of their clients. Not to mention, the actual website has some great fundamental analysis, as well as amazing different resources that you're not going to get with something like Robinhood. Now, the last thing to think about is going to be commissions. This is not as big of a deal nowadays, but about 4 or 5 years ago, when Robinhood really bursted onto the scene, this was a big deal, because 5 or 6 years ago, commissions were not free, right? You'd have to pay anywhere between $4 to $12 just one way on a trade, which means if you were gonna buy Tesla, you would have to pay, a commission fee just to buy and then a commission fee to sell. And if you have a small account, these add up over time. And Robinhood was the first platform to give 100% free commission. Now, this is not as big of a deal anymore, because essentially every single trading platform and broker gives free trades and free commissions. Now, there are some like TD Ameritrade where I think it's 46 cents per contract each way, which can add up, but honestly, if you're trading with more than like $1,000, you're not going to see that. And I think that paying that small fee is really worth it to have the customer service, to have the tools, and to honestly use the superior software. I'd rather pay a small fee to get a lot more in return than paying nothing and just getting a pretty basic setup and pretty basic broker with terrible customer service like Robinhood. Now, this doesn't mean that if you have Robinhood, you have to delete the app, get rid of the broker, and sign up for TD. If it works for you, that's great, but those are the main things that you have to think of when choosing a broker. Next thing we're going to talk about is charting software, and if you're somebody who is a long-term investor, this doesn't really apply to you because you're not going to care about technical analysis or short-term movements. But if you're somebody who is a swing trader or a day trader, this is a 100% must. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you don't have charting software, if you don't know how to read charts, if you don't know how to perform technical analysis, you are never going to be a consistently profitable trader. And I kind of touched a little bit on this earlier when I talked about TD Ameritrade, but there are some other good charting softwares out there. For me, the best is obviously TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim. I talk about this all the time. I have multiple different tutorials on this YouTube channel teaching you how to use this software, and as well in my private stock market mentorship group, I have a full 1 hour long course breaking down this software entirely. Now, the other major one that you've probably seen and heard of is called TradingView. This is 100% free online, but you only get 3 indicators before you have to pay something like $15 a month. Now, I wouldn't say that this is a subpar software to Thinkorswim, but in my personal opinion, I love TD Ameritrade that much, and like I said, it's 100% free if you have a broker account with them. So for me, I would rather just use TD Ameritrade. And now if you're somebody who wants to learn how to actually read charts and you don't understand technical analysis, I'm giving away 7 days free in my private stock market academy. I will link it down there below. You get access to 55 hours of different courses and lectures, as well as my private Discord, where me and 269 other students go live every single morning. I go over what I'm trading, why I'm trading it, which is the most important thing. Click the link down below to get your first 7 days for free. Now, the next section is going to be optional. You do not need to have other types of software. These things will just make your life a little bit easier, and these resources could be something like My Private Academy or any academy, any learning software that you have. It could also be a stock scanner like FinViz, or it could even be something like Blackbox, which we're going to touch on in a bit. But in all reality, you don't need any of these. You don't need any alert services because most of them are garbage anyway, and you're not going to learn if you're going to rely on just what other people throw out there. Now, scanners are something that a lot of traders like to use, but for me, it's not something that I care about because I am a pattern trader. I look for specific patterns and I play those same patterns over and over because I know that they work for me. So in my instance, scanning for a specific amount of volume or breakouts is not something that I use, but for you, you could use a free software called FinViz, and I'll make a video on how to set up and use a scanner in the future. So make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the content that we're putting out. As far as academies are considered, these are not needed either. You know, buying courses, and I'll tell you guys, I run an academy and I run courses. They are not 100% needed, right? You probably could find every piece of information scouring thousands of hours on the internet and on YouTube, but as somebody who runs an academy, and I've probably spent upwards of $10,000 to $12,000 on different academies and different courses, I'll tell you honestly, it's worth it, because if you can find the right mentor and the right trading strategy that works for you, you can save yourself not only thousands and thousands of dollars, but thousands of hours of time. And we all know that time is the most important thing in this world, and it's the one thing that you really can't buy. And now there are other softwares that we're going to talk about, like Blackbox, which I love, but it's honestly not essential. I love Blackbox specifically for options because it will show you the bullish and bearish flow that's moving into that stock and what the specific options are. This way you can kind of keep track of what big money and the whales are doing. And now as far as this, I'm going to make a whole video on this in the future about this software, but you're not going to use this as necessarily trade ideas. But for me, I will take a stock or a pattern that I like, and I'll kind of type it into Blackbox and see what the big money is doing. This is around $1,200 a year, and if you're starting out, it's not needed, but it is something that I really like to use on a daily basis. Most of these side softwares are kind of just the icing in the cherry on top. The main thing that you need so far that we've talked about is just going to be a broker account and some charting software. The next thing we're going to talk about is going to be actual hardware, so computers, monitors, keyboards, all of those types of things. Now, as far as a computer is considered, you do not need a $2,000 gaming computer. I thought I needed that when I actually started, and you really don't. Get something with a decent graphics card that has at least 8 gigabytes of RAM. You don't want to buy some super piece of crap computer that's going to basically be obsolete in a couple of years, but you don't want to overspend and buy something that you really don't need. I also recommend a laptop when you're starting because you can use it on the go when you're traveling, when you're at work, maybe at a coffee shop, and when you're at home, you can actually hook it up with an HDMI cord so you can even run multiple monitors off of that computer at one time. One of the biggest things that drew me to trading for a living dream was the fact that I could trade from anywhere in the world. So that's why I would really recommend getting a laptop over getting a stationary desktop where you can't travel, you can't bring it places, and you're just stuck in one spot. Now you can swing and day trade from your phone using something like Robinhood or TD Ameritrade's charting platform on your phone. Honestly though, it kind of sucks. I made a whole tutorial that I'll put right here, but still, I highly recommend you shell out, $600 to $700 on a laptop if you really want to take this seriously. And the next thing is going to be monitors. You do not need to have 4 monitors. I have 2, and the only reason that I even have 2 is because I live stream every day. One monitor is for my actual charts, and the other one is my workstation where, I keep OBS and Blackbox and all my other softwares up so I can actually manage my workflow. You do not need more than 1 monitor. Yes, it's nice. Yes, it makes your life easier, but you do not need it. Now, if you are getting 1 monitor, yes, you could get an ultra wide or a larger monitor, but like I said earlier, I used a laptop for my first 5 years of trading, right? I used a normal laptop monitor screen and it was fine. You don't need any crazy monitors. I think that even looking at more than 2 charts at a time, it's just kind of reckless because you can't really focus on what you're watching. You can't really focus on how a stock is moving if you're looking at 100 different things at once. And even if you're day trading, it's pretty easy to just use 1 monitor and split your TOS into 2 separate windows. As you can see, there is a lot of different software and hardware that can make your life a lot easier when it comes to trading. But in all honesty, all you really need is just your cell phone, good risk management, and a great trading strategy. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Hit the like button, comment down below. Let me know what kind of videos you want me to make next. As well, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with all the content that we put out. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, I'll see you.